Presented by ChurchTechU. What is the YoloBox Pro? Hi and welcome again. My name is Paul Allen Clifford. And before we get started, if you've ever wanted a switcher, an encoder that just made sense, go ahead, give me a like, thumbs up, subscribe, all that fun stuff. So this is the YoloBox Pro, as I mentioned earlier. Well, this is actually the box. The YoloBox Pro is right down there, and I'll show it to you here in just a second. And it's something that the people over at Yolo Live, the company that makes it, sent over to me to see what I thought about it. And full disclosure, they didn't charge me for this. They do want to know what I think about it, but they gave me the latitude to say what I actually think, although they did want to know if there were any glitches so they could address those. So let's head over to the YoloBox Pro and I'll show you around the interface and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. So this is the YoloBox Pro, and first thing that I want to show you is this is kind of the first screen after you've logged in, so I'm not going to show you my login, but this is a pre-recorded preset for if I wanted to do any sort of live streaming. So I've been using this with my ChurchTechU members every week to live stream to ProPresenter, or to YouTube. So let me show you what I do. Basically, I click here and duplicate on it, duplicate it, give it a name. I'll just put in some random text there and go ahead and click create. Now it has duplicated this one, which has already ended, and you can see over here it says open resume. So I'm going to go over here and you'll see that it's, you know, kind of showing what's happening right here. We'll get the infinity effect if I see there doing that. So I'm going to minimize that a bit. So this is the UI here. Right now I don't have Yolo Live connected. That is a service that they have introduced just very recently, since I even got this. One thing that I do like about their system is they've been doing updates very frequently. I think I've done 4 or 5 updates, and each one seems to add new features. So just because you buy it today doesn't mean it's never going to have the feature you want. It could be that that's the very next thing coming. So we'll talk about that later. So when I first logged in, it didn't have Yolo Live as an option, but that came in a recent update. I could link this to Facebook, and using this I could go to one or the other. I could go to Twitch. I don't do Twitch, but some people do. Also custom RTMPS or RTMP, so if whatever system you use, this would probably do it, with the exception of Resi. So also Boxcast, I think, doesn't really do that. So we've got a lot of flexibility here with these different things. If I wanted to go and log into my account on YouTube, I could do that. It's basically an Android platform. So I think that's basically what we're dealing with, is a very large Android phone or a smaller Android tablet with a couple additional features here. So you'll notice that it auto-detected HDMI 1. It has 3 HDMI ins and also a USB-C in, or nope, that's a USB-A in right here. So HDMI in 1 here, HDMI in 2 here, and HDMI in 3 here, and then a USB port there. It's also got hardwired Ethernet and an HDMI out. So you could use this as a video switcher in a live application. I think that I would not want to do iMag with it because there is a little bit of latency, but just so you know about that as well. It has audio in down here at the bottom, as well as audio out, and right here it charges with USB-C, but it has an internal battery, so there's no reason why I couldn't use this just connected to a camera if I wanted to live stream, just very basically. And since it's a touch screen, I could have that, where I could see it and I could switch between something that is coming in on one of the other ports. And so a camera operator could operate this as if it was a video switcher, because it does do that. You'll also notice I've got a little record right up here, and so I can record onto an SD card, which this card slot is right here. So SD card, and I can put that back. And that brings me to one of the things that you would want to know about the YOLO Live is that how the card is formatted means that all of your recordings are split up. So I think that it's NTFS is how it's formatted. I could be wrong. It's one of the older Windows ways. So it seems like every 8 minutes or so it splits up the recording, but that's really not a big deal because it ends on one frame and picks right back up on the next frame. So you just plop them all into your video editor, and they're numbered by year, month, date, in that order, and then a time. So if you put them in order of the numbers, then they'll go one right after the other. So that's pretty cool here. You'll notice that it has Wi-Fi right here, and this 100% indicates the internal battery's power. So I could do this with Wi-Fi or with the LAN connection that's down there, as I say. So that's pretty cool. I can, it has the ability to add built-in overlays. Personally, I don't do those. I would be bringing them in from ProPresenter because that's my thing, but whatever. I also, this is the platforms that you can stream to, API access with these three. For something else, RTMP, as I said. You can invite guests to join for a Skype-like or Zoom-like session. We have the ability to do audio stuff here. One thing that I noticed is it seems to me that about 3 dB on program and 3 dB on HDMI gives you a good level, at least with my setup. So that is adding a little bit of gain to it. You can have the audio always on, audio follows video, etc. So pretty standard stuff there. There is a scoreboard overlay if you're using this for sports, and then we can have the comments. So I could have my comments coming in here as I was live streaming. So that's a pretty cool feature as well. Now, you'll notice that I've got a meter up here showing the audio as it's coming in, and I like that, so I'm going to click on Done. Now, I can also click this plus button here and go to monitor mode. And with monitor mode, it's very similar, but I can add additional video sources as well. So notice how I said that there were 3 HDMIs and a USB. I tried plugging in a webcam and it worked perfectly fine, so you could use a webcam for this as well. then have videos from your um, SD cards. You can have a live stream as a source or a PDF as a source. And look, you've got different multi-views that you could use as well. So this piece of gear it's really powerful, and in the future I hope to show you how to do a picture-in-picture and how to do lower thirds, etc. coming from an external source. You can have lower thirds inside the YOLO Live itself as well. So I'm going to click done there. One thing that I will mention is we've got all these settings, so you can do your connections ahead of time here. You can do upgrades, you can change the time zone, and you can even go to recordings here. So we can see some of the past recordings that I've done, and you'll see that, well, here's a perfect example. So 2022, June 14th, and that was at 8:44 and 11 seconds is when that was created. And the next one was 2022, June 14th at 8, this is military time, so 8:54 and 13 seconds. So I guess about 10 minutes and 2 seconds or so. And so that's how those are all saved. These were where I started the recording a little bit early, and I didn't want that part, so I just didn't move those over into another folder. So that's pretty cool. And by the way, I've been using this for months, as I say, so June right there is when I started, and right now it's the end of September, and I haven't reformatted it. And look, I've got a 124 gig card, after formatting and stuff, 116. And you'll notice I've only used 31 gigs, and this is with a weekly 1 hour thing with all the tutorials you've seen from me, etc. So it really compresses it, and that's a pretty cool feature as well. Notice that we've got some facts. I can do screen rotation. So do I want to do it? Yes, I do. And now I can go back, and actually, quite frankly, this was rotated. So that's how normally the ports are at the top, and so I just rotated it that way. Diagnostic logs, all that fun stuff as well. And you might be be wondering, because the recording is, the recordings are so small, how is the quality? Well, I'm recording at 1080p, and if you've seen any of my tutorials in the last, with the exception of this one because I'm showing this, any of my other tutorials in the last 2 or 3 months, you've seen the recording quality. So you can go back and take a look at those. I have, on occasion, seen a macro blocker, a couple of those, but in general, it's just been really great. So I have a really high opinion of this YOLO Live product. You know that I use ProPresenter, which can record and encode itself, but I really think that it's nice to be able to split up the operations that you have in your system and be able to do things that way. So that is the YoloBox Pro. So normally I tell you all about a free class that I'm offering, but if this is something that you would be interested in, I've gone ahead and I'm going to leave a link to my Amazon affiliate account below, and you can buy this piece of gear there, and it won't cost you any extra money, but it will help me make content like this and maybe make some more different stuff with different gear as I get it in. So I hope that you find that useful. And until next time, this is Paul with TrinityDigitalMedia.com and ChurchTechU.com reminding you to go out and change eternity.